Hey y'all, it's your girl Aaron, and today I'm going to be playing some more Minecraft, and I'm going to be playing on my peaceful survival on an infinite snapshot. So there's a whole bunch of custom dimensions, but before we can explore those custom dimensions, there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to do. So to begin with, just fixing my display there. So to begin with, I do want to have a portal going to the Nether, which I've actually created, and I want to make the room that the portal's in look like the Nether, so you know where you're going. Because portals are going to be such a feature of this world, you know, you got to be able to tell them apart quite easily, I think. But so, there's a couple things I need to do. The portal in that room, it's too low down by one block. So I need to go in and move it up by one, basically. So I'm actually going to need that. What's it? Take up? Okay, so RIP to the bottom layer. It's gonna take a while because it's obsidian. At least once I smash the second block, the portal should break and we won't have the spooky portal noises. Yeah. Okay, so now I just gotta do that like 10 more times. So I'm actually reusing the music from the previous episodes for this one because I didn't have time to look for different songs or artists, and you know, there's like quite a few different songs I've used now, so put on shuffle, see what we can get. On the bottom left hand of the screen, the song title should appear, and in the description I'll have links to all the songs, and all the songs I'm using are, you know, royalty free, either like Creative Commons or the artist has given permission to people or to me to use. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool if you want to check those musicians out, because I think we need to support you know, royalty-free artists. Like, they make life better. They give like so many opportunities to people. Like, I could never have licensed music on this channel because I'm not making money from it and I can't afford to put money into it. So if I didn't have royalty-free music, I would have no music, and I kind of want to have music because music is cool. And when I'm watching something like this, I like to listen to music, or if they have music. Like, one of the streamers that I used to watch quite a bit on Twitch, it's called Crokies. He does Magic the Gathering streams. What? MTG Arena, Magic the Gathering Arena. And he used to play like really cool music, but unfortunately the Twitch copyright enforcement kicked in, and basically if he had like one more copyright strike, he was gonna lose his channel. So he tried to find some copyright free music. Wasn't going so great. And then he like signed up for Monster Cat, and I mean, there were some decent songs on there, but after like a few days, like, just got sick of hearing the same songs over and over, and people were like, nah. So what they ended up doing was, he's used his original playlist, the one that he wasn't allowed to, but he doesn't have the music on stream. He has a Spotify playlist that you can sync with if you also have Spotify, and then you can listen to the same music as him. So, but I don't have Spotify, so I kind of like don't watch him as much anymore, even because that is like part of the vibe. And then when I was thinking of like my own playthrough and what kind of vibe, I was like, I want that kind of vibe, where it's like you're chilling and it's just a fun time. But so I couldn't use the same solution because this isn't live and I don't have Spotify. But what I can do is just use like actually good copyright free music. Like, I don't think he had the time and sort of motivation to do like a thorough look and actually find like really good songs. But I think I found like every single song I play on this channel, or in this Minecraft series, is a song that I actually personally like and would listen to anyway. Okay, so what happened to my flint? Oh, it's actually still in my inventory. Okay. Anyway, let's drop off the lava, because I won't be needing that anymore. So now I can light the portal. Okay, so that will take us to the nether, but actually I kind of don't want to have this bloom around. Oh, you can't. I thought you could like put a block inside the portal and then it would break it. Doesn't seem to. Okay, so I'm just going to break one block of obsidian, put it back, and then not light it. Just because like this noise is a little bit intense, and I'm going to be like clearing. So it's like, I don't know, if you're walking by and it's like zoomy, whatever, that's chilled. But if you're literally standing right next to it, like mining, it just, maybe you love the noise, but I will not like that just yet. So I wanted to make like a whole bunch of iron pickaxes. I don't even know if that's a real word. That's enough for 5, and that's only enough sticks for 4. So let's grab some wood, turn it into planks, turn that into sticks, okay, turn some of it into sticks. Okay, now I have enough. And then I'll make 5 iron pickaxes. So now the plan is just to excavate this room, which I have been like semi putting off for a bit and just doing a little bit at a time, because it's like an extremely large job. Wait, I need a shovel at the ready. Okay. I don't need the obsidian at the ready. Hello, cat friend. I am Batman. Okay, so I gotta be careful here because there might be water above. But like, this actually probably isn't even gonna be enough space vertically. I don't know, like I have this picture in my mind of what I want the portal room to look like, and sort of cramped up isn't, you know, part of that picture. Like it needs to feel like vast or vacuous. Like, I don't know. In a way, I guess in a way, like the openness you feel above ground, you know? So it's like the fact that I'm underground, like, it's almost like you want to negate that by almost overcompensating, but not really overcompensating, because I think it's the correct amount. But you know, like you can't get away with a small space underground the way you might be able to above ground, because you just look out the door and see like all the space. But over here it's like you look out the door and it's like you're underwater. So if the space inside is bigger, then the space outside is less relevant to your perceived like openness. That's the theory, you know. And also the thought of having like larger portals rather than the normal sized ones, because I don't know, like the portals are the focal point of this entire world. Like the whole concept of doing the infinite snapshot and a glitch seed to see how the glitches interact with the custom dimensions and stuff as well, and you all get to those dimensions via portals. Portals are everything, and so having like the normal sized portals, you know. Now obviously, you know, with the ruin portals you get some really large ruin portals, like my portal's probably the size of like maybe the biggest ruin portals, you know, the broken ones you find, but those are in portrait mode. Rue, I'm busy. My cat is running after a bike or something. So yeah, so doing them portraits probably a bad idea underground, because just to get this, so you need to have open space above the portal, right? That to get that open feeling. That's the whole like sort of dilemma or whatever. So if it was portraits, then you're just increasing how high it needs to be to have a decent amount of space above it. And also landscapes, like most people like watch, you know, they'd be watching this video on a landscape display, either a TV, computer, or like a cell phone rotated sideways, you know. And in a way those are portals, you know, especially if you have a border around your device, which bougies may not. So landscape kind of fits more into the real experience of portals, and it's easier to clear out a wider space that's not as high than it is to clear out a higher space, I think. Like, well, also the thing is that, you know, you only have so much height to work with, whereas you have a lot more leeway horizontally, because there's like, you know, the limited block height. Here's our old portal, I guess I need to break it down. Like all the obsidian from breaking it down is actually going to be useful when I go back into the nether, because when you make a portal, like even if you make a big one, the portal on the other side is always going to be like the small one. So the portal originally made a small one, but even if I made the big one to start with, you know, whichever one you make, the one that you get in the nether end will be small. So I got to break down the nether ended portal, the portal on the nether end, and replace it with a bigger portal so that it matches the portal here, and you know, it makes more sense for them to be the same size on both sides. I'm actually curious if you have a ruin portal. No, ruin portals don't spawn to ruin portals on the other side, I don't think. If they did, it would be cool if they were the same size. If you like, I guess Minecraft just needs to make that a thing, that the size of the portal, you know, translates. Anyway, the problem is the way that I made this portal, which make the fact that it's big not such a problem, is the lava and water trick, which is not going to work on. Let me just make these into sticks so I can pick up the redstone. Flint can shovel. Yeah, so in the nether you can't use water. It like turns into steam or whatever, evaporates as soon as you try to use it. So you can't make portals with water and lava in the nether, even though you have so much lava that it would be the easiest way to do it if you could use water. So the fact that you have to do it with actual pieces of obsidian means that it isn't, you know, a downside at all that I had to break down some of the portal obsidian, because I need a bunch more still, because it's like, actually, let's count. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oof. How do counts? How do I count? Okay. Do that, right? Yes. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 pieces high, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 6 high times 2, and then 9 times 2. 12 plus 18. So I need 30 in total to make the same size again. Maybe if I like, yeah, I think I need to like dump some stuff so that I can pick up the blocks that I'm breaking. Okay, so why? Oh, I shouldn't have put cobblestone in here. Okay, redstone can go in here. Iron ore. It's not the cobblestone drawer. Okay, the obsidian can go in there. Why is there granite in here? Rude. Okay, let's drop off this. Gonna need another chest. Actually, like, immediately. Okay. I wonder if I have enough wood. I think that's enough. Just. Right. But that's like only a one wide. So maybe I can put like the Yeah, let's put like the lava buckets. Okay, this can be for lava buckets and extra resources. The song is gotta pop off. Skirk. Okay. Wait, this is the diamond bit. Even though it's faster, I don't want to use up all its durability. I only have 7 diamonds and I have a whole lot more iron, and you can even see like a whole bunch of iron that I have mined on the walls here, which I will mine, but I'm trying to clear this room out if I can first. And then I guess once it's the appropriate size, I gotta go into the nether and collect a whole bunch of nether resources and blocks so that I can come back and use them in the room. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, it kind of is like slow rolling it, where like the most exciting part of this world is the custom dimensions, while simultaneously being something that I'm like kind of not doing yet. But you know, am I really going to be interested in doing the nether room when I have a custom dimension room to do? And you know, I kind of want to establish like what would be like considered like normal, as normal as it could be, you know. So it's like it's normal to have your nether, you know, to have a portal to the nether, like everyone has that. And so I want to have a familiar area where it's like, okay, this is looking not too crazy, not too out there, like because well, I'm gonna have 2 portals because I want to do the zones one for like the seemingly like the same overworld for the before and after vibes, and then but apart from that, you know, so in around there will be overworld type grass, trees, water, sand, whatever, and look kind of like overworld, and I'll have some like agricultural stuff, and so that'll look very similar to what a normal overworld starting base location looks like, except that it'll be underground. Then the nether room portal area will be the beginnings of deviation from typicalness, where it's like a whole room, not just a portal. People do decorate around their portals like the nether, but not usually to the extent where you feel like you're actually already in the nether before you even go into the portal, which is the effect I'm going for. You know, it's like bleeding out, but like far further than normal. But it'll still be kind of normal in the fact that you kind of expect it. But then all the other portals after that will be the ones that are the custom stuff. So I'm probably gonna put the nether portal and the normal one here where I am now, and then like I'll probably put the other portals like on the other side of the tunnel. Like, gotcha. Because there's like that endless tunnel. So I was thinking I can build the rest of the portals along that tunnel. So it's like the two semi-normal portals are part of the semi-normal base where you would sort of go for semi-normal activities. And then the completely like abnormal endless tunnel and the completely abnormal custom dimensions are just around the corner. I think that'll be cool. So to achieve all of that does require a lot of what I'm doing right now. Like, I think the majority of the entire series will just be this. Mining. But I think the progress being made at the same time, you know, the context of it will make a huge difference. Okay, I'm kind of curious on if I can keep going out. Like, oh. Okay. Do no around there. What I'm thinking of doing, how much higher did I want to go? Okay, so it's like, okay, so let's go up and dig some roof away so that you can see if it looks spacious enough. I probably need some torches, but I've got coal, or I've got torches. Don't need the flint and steel. Put it up there. Okay. Coal. Thank you for your sacrifices, dinosaurs. Just like how you died in one apocalypse, us humans are using your remains to create a second apocalypse, bringing around full circle. This apocalyptic circle. Unless people will try the whole peaceful options and working with your environment and not mining the coal. So don't do what I'm doing. Like, how do you have like a... How does this game become ethical? You can't even mine coal. Okay, so we're looking at... I think I'm still learning how to judge angles because I'm on the highest FOV. Hashtag tryhard. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say 5. So this will allow for 5 blocks above the portal. And if that looks spacious enough, then, you know, I'm happy to leave it at that. It's also a decent amount of height for the other dimensions to have things like trees or ships. There's dimensions where there's just endlessly repeating nether ships, and you probably want to have a nether ship in that room, so those height limit, like height requirements, also need to be thought of, I guess. Okay, but now the only, I mean, I'm not super worried about that because this is also going down a bit more, so this isn't the full height. And I mean, I can go down what, at least 10 blocks, I think, if I need to, from like the floor of the portal. Not much more than that though, because I'm pretty close to the bottom of the world. But I also need to clear some of these blocks here so that I can actually see how high the roof is from down there. Oh, this would get in the way. Oop, there I fell. Okay, let's get up a bit. Line 9, doing this with a bang. Okay, that should do it. So I should be able to see how high the roof is now. Ooh. Okay, oh, it's there. Yeah, I think that's high enough. Yeah. Yeah, it totally doesn't look like maybe a couple blocks higher, if I'm honest. Just making so much more work for myself every year. What is going on with these brothers? Like, don't be water on top of me. There's water somewhere around. All these bubbles going on. I know the dolphins have a bad habit of trying to end their existence near me. I feel like going up an extra 2 blocks here may actually make a big difference. Like it should, so, you know, like, the higher you go, you know, the smaller the portal looks, but it's a big portal. So you initially, like, you know, your brain is initially going to be like, you know, well, when you first see the portal, you're, without even trying to, you're going to be immediately judging whether it's bigger or smaller than other portals you've seen. And there might be a way to have a little bit of an optical illusion where the room is bigger than you expect. So even though the portal is bigger than you expect, it's smaller than you expect for what, you know, it's bigger than normal, but it's smaller than what you expect compared to the room. I don't know if that makes sense at all. But anyway, if there's enough space at the top, you might be able to create that kind of semi-illusory vibe where the portal at first glance doesn't seem that big because the room is bigger than you thought it would be, but the portal is bigger than normal, so the portal looks kind of normal in proportion to the room, but is bigger than it should be, and the room is bigger than it should be. So what that could potentially do is kind of almost have like a slower reveal or slower like realization on size, you know, like, oh, it's bigger than I first thought. And that moment of that experience, I guess, is what I'm going for. So, because that is kind of the whole point of having a relatively large base underground underwater, where the entire thing is just going to be like, you did what? And then, oh, it's, I thought it would be way less than that. I don't know how much sense I'm making. Okay, yeah, so now with that, yeah, so that looks like now the portal looks relatively small slash normal. So at first glance it's like, okay, a portal room, and then you like start walking into the room and you're like, oh, it's further, oh, it's, okay, nice. Who knows if I'm like imagining all this. Okay, I gotta break down the supporting cobblestone. Okay, so that there's good news and bad news. The good news is that I kind of know how big I want it now, the room. But the bad news is of how much work it's gonna be. Okay, so I'm thinking of trying to sort of clear out here. Let's get the doors ready in case I break into water. And then I want to like see how far I can go at the correct height at the top. And then if I do break into water, oh gosh. Please don't jump onto my computer. Run, moth, run. Where do I put the torch? It's like this huge decision to make. Okay. The bubble noises are so loud. What is going on with them? Okay, here's water. Okay, so now I know where the new roof needs to be. Let's put some doors down so it's easier to get in and out. And then let's place these blocks down for the new roof. Or as people in the USA say, roof. Seriously, I've heard people call it a roof. And like, my profession is a roofer, which makes the joke with the dog maybe less funny, because when I read it, it's, you know, there's like a dog with like workman's clothing on, and the text says, my speciality is roofing. And like, to me, part of why that's so funny is because of the word roof, like, to imagine a dog, because like, you spell it the same, like, but you only think of dog as going like roof, roof, not roof. So the fact that, I guess, the USA pronunciation is more consistent then, because for both the dog sound and the what's above your head probably, you say roof, but where, you know, in South Africa, and I'm assuming the UK as well, you know, you would say roof, like roof for one and roof for the other, which, so imagining a dog saying roof instead of roof is funnier to me, because it's like a more cartoonish way of barking. I have no idea if that makes sense. Okay. I have so little water, I mean air. It's kind of annoying. I don't want to have to keep swallowing that down. There's some serious bubble whirling going on. I feel like I live inside of a milkshake. Not a milkshake? Soda fountain, I guess. Still carbonating. It's a pretty cool song as well. Play the song at a house party. Ooh, whoops. Okay. Emergency door. I have no idea what song is going to be next. Like on my other videos, I sort of put the songs in an order that made a little bit more sense than random. But I'm just doing random now. Okay. Oops. Actually, come to think of it, the roof will be one lower in that room, because the roof needs to be covered with something near the roof. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is close this off. Stop! We need some water. I need some air. start pulling down. And I guess another one. I just needed one more. Okay. I guess I made it longer too. Okay, so now I can do this one. Below it's 2. And I guess that's one way of getting rid of that water. So during the axe, I have my own axe. Aha. So now let us break that, which was a mistake. Like that. Okay, wait. You put doors on top of doors, no. Okay. So, whoa, I jumped so high. I jumped so high, I got so high. It's a bit dark in here. I only partially know what I'm doing. Okay. So this is like the larger, well, you know, I guess this door strat's a little bit easier than the sand strats. What is it? I mean, the fact that you're right by doors does mean you're less likely to drown. That was a mistake. To be honest, I couldn't even see that block. I was just hoping I was pointing in the right place. Okay. Again. Okay. Killed with diamonds. Let me in. Okay. I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, I should be able to break down in the corner here. Alright. Guess not. Oh, because maybe there. Okay, cool. And then down again, potentially. Okay. I'm kinda lost. Right. These can go. Right? Show you. Okay, so that's... There's doors there, okay, so that means clearing out. I don't know, maybe sand is actually the better choice. Because there's complications to using doors. So I'm gonna grab some sand. It might actually take a lot of sand. Okay, that's all I got. And then I'm gonna dump the iron ore. And guess I can dump that. Don't need all that coal. Okay. Okay, I think if we go, probably easier to just break through here. Oh. Okay. Kind of confused. Okay. I think. Okay, I can actually just. Yeah. Oh, I gotta keep going up. Okay. So, all this needs to be sanded in. Okay, let's go. And this is Kind Heart by Inner Sea. Yeah, that's a pretty cool title. Let's give it to well, what can I talk about? Things that are happening in the world. If I had a bunch of money and a way to obtain it, I would try and buy some game stonks, because from what I've heard, they're still being shorted. And they have to continuously put up more and more capital the longer they want to keep their shorts on. And then, you know, basically if they run out of capital, like, so they trying to like reduce the price and so they like, by shorting it sort of drives the price down. So if they are successful and they can actually drive the stock all the way down, then they cash out, which is what was going to happen before people on Reddit started intervening. And what they are doing then is preventing them from getting it low enough. And the higher it gets, the more money they lose. Wow, I can't even break a single door before I die, apparently. Is this door like invincible? Yeah, I'm gonna switch to the axe. So if it's still being shorted, that means that they still are planning to make a profit by getting the company to go bust. So if enough people buy the stock and don't sell, the price literally cannot get low enough for them to not die, like, financially. And then what happens is, if they go bust because they couldn't pay for it, then that makes the stock price go higher. So you probably lose like all your money, to be honest. I mean, you're betting against people whose literal like jobs and careers is winning against the small investors. But there's a chance that enough people buy and hold that, you know, they run out of capital, and yeah. The thing is, I don't know, like, so if that happens, what would happen is the stock will go really, really, really high, and then it will come down, and basically it's gonna come down to a point that's probably below what it's worth now, like by a lot. So if you can manage to sell on the spike, you can make a lot of money. But let's say your cell phone battery dies and you can't trade on that day or whatever, and enough time passes, it'll go down enough that you like lost a lot of your like money and stuff. So yeah, I don't really think it's a way I would be able to make money, because I don't know enough about all of that, and I didn't get in. Like, if you got in, like, because the stock might stabilize at, like, its end position. You don't, like, we don't know. Its end position might be like $40. Generally speaking, it's better to invest for the long term. So if I was going to invest in the long term, I don't know if I would be going for GameStop. Now, there's other options, like, people have been talking about AMC and Nokia. Now, AMC, I'm not too confident in, because, you know, I don't know, maybe just the fact that I haven't been able to go to movies in so long, like, not from the pandemic, like, I just can't afford it. It just seems like a bad business model to offer something that's like so expensive. Most people can't, I don't know, I guess that's most of capitalism. But, you know, it's, I mean, online stuff, like, and when VR like takes off, like, I think the VR experience, like VR cinemas, would be something way more like valuable to people. So if AMC was like, well, we are going to use like, okay, our stock price has gone way up, we're gonna sell a whole bunch of shares to make some cash and invest in software development, and we're going to create VR theater experience. You know, then maybe there's some kind of long-term argument for investing in them. But like a company like Tesla, you know, I think the eventual stock price will ultimately just continue to go up. Like unless like Elon Musk died or something, because like I think he can get it to continue going up. I'm not so sure other people could. But like, it's not gonna go like way down either, because it's like real tangible technologies and products and everything. Okay. Finally filled in all the sound. I don't think I have enough space. Maybe I do actually. We'll probably do. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of people have said that they think, you know, like stock trading is only for rich people and stuff. It's like wow, you guys are rich enough to have stocks anyway, but like that's kind of, what is it, ignorance, I guess, because there's quite a few places that allow people to do fractional stock trading where you don't buy a full stock. So like, you know, let's look at like GameStonks. Their stock's like $320. Like, so in Rand that's like 5,000 Rand, which is like more than my whole disposable income. You know, like after I've paid bills and budgeted for food and stuff, like the amount of money I have left to spend on like YOLO whatever I want is probably like, I don't know, $50 or $100, I don't know. So, you know, I couldn't even buy one GameStop. But, I mean, if you have the fractional trading thing, then you buy like, I could buy like a third of a GameStop. So it's not really true that it's like a rich person or anything. And like the thing with the hedge funds and the Wall Street bets and Reddit and stuff is like a lot of the people investing used money they got from their stimulus check. And yes, it's a gamble to do that. But if the money isn't enough to do anything, like if there's not much it's gonna help. Like, if you're in like such serious financial trouble that 600 isn't gonna make a dent into your, you know, ability to keep afloat, if it's not really gonna help you at all, then, you know, what you've really got to lose, like, you know, it's not paying your rent, it's, you know, so yes, it's a gamble, but it is also an educated risk, because you know it's overshorted and, you know, has a high chance of being like a big squeeze. So, you know, sure, you might lose your money, but you might also double, triple, 10x, whatever. Some of the people who bought game stonks when they were like in the single digits or double digits already 10x, but they're not like necessarily selling, because when you sell, the price goes down, which means there's less chance of the squeeze, which means the people who are holding might end up also having to sell. And yeah, so it's quite complicated. But the point is, you know, that it very much can be people whose like bank account is like $600 and they're like, well, I'll buy one GameStop, you know. So you don't have to be rich to own stocks. And, you know, to be honest, like, I think maybe people on the left, or people who identify as or call themselves or think of themselves as leftists, whether they actually are a leftist or not is another topic, but they seem to have a remarkable aversion for economics and things like stocks, and they, you know, it's like capitalism bad, but like, you know, it doesn't make much sense, because we're living in capitalism, and if we are to achieve a shift away, the shift away happens, you know, from capitalism. So whatever's done to achieve the shift is done whilst in capitalism, and therefore has to be done in that context. And that means not to say that you play by their rules, but you do have to play the game at some level. You can't just, you know, have wishful thinking or whatever. It's like people talk about seizing the means of production. Like, what do they think when they say that? What do they have in their minds? Are they just thinking, you know, you and your colleagues storm the offices, your boss's office, and like tell him that it's your company now, like, and he's like, oh, okay, cool, sure, I'll transfer. Do you guys have like, you know, like some kind of trust or like legal entity I can sign over the ownership to, you know, and invested pretty much all my money into this company, so I want to make sure that I give it away to you for free in the correct and legal way. Is that the story that's playing out in their minds? Like, what do they think seizing the means of production is? Because I don't think many of them have seriously thought it through or have any idea what they're talking about. Because, like, yes, there is some types of things that are like expropriation, like there's a movie, I need wood, that's not the movie. There's a movie called The Take, where it's about the basically there was like a bunch of factories in Argentina that were closing, and so what some of the workers did was so the factory was being closed down and like moved, so they were going to like take all the equipment and basically move it to another part of the world and set the factory up there where they could get cheaper labor or something. And so what the workers did was, were like, no, like, we'll lose our jobs, we'll lose our livelihood, our families won't have any, you know, that kind of things happened like in many places across the world many times, and it doesn't take much to see how negative it can impact those workers in their community. So they basically went to the factory and actually like moved in, you know, like stayed there and started to use the machinery and stuff, which obviously they all know how to do, to make stuff, and then get like contracts with other factories and communities and stuff, because there was like, you know, a few, like a couple hundred at least factories that they've been doing that kind of thing at, so they could all like work together and stuff. So that's movie, you know, that can be considered seizing the means of production. But what are you meant to do as the average worker wanting to seize the means of production? Are you meant to like hope that your company decides to offshore your job and hope that your colleagues will all like decide together that they're gonna like fight for it and like put their lives on the line and like occupy and stuff, like, and then, you know, so then like obviously there's like capitalists who own the factories who want to get paid for everything. They don't want to lose money like that, so they obviously taking legal action, and so then the police come and try to evict the people occupying, and in The Take, you know, it's kind of, spoiler alert, but it's like kind of the high point of the movie, the peak or whatever. But you know, like, so the community comes and protests and, you know, makes it so that the police can't evict them by physically getting in between the police and the factory, because obviously as a community they were also benefiting, because the people in the community had their jobs there, the factory was making stuff that they could use and was cheaper than, you know, buying it elsewhere, and so they got between the police and the factory. So you also need your community to be like that on board and everything. Then, you know, you need a judge or someone like that to like have a look at the, you know, everything that's happened and come to the conclusion that, you know, the workers were in the right and that they should be given ownership of the factory. And so there's a whole lot of court appearances and lawyers and representing yourselves in courts and stuff. And so if everything goes right, if all of that goes right, you've seized one means of production, and you know, we need a lot more than one. So, you know, so what is a more realistic, I mean, that may be, you know, especially if, you know, you on very low income and like there's just no amount of flexibility or anything with, you know, like you can't get together with a bunch of friends and each put 50 Rand or $50 a month aside and pool it together and use the pooled amount, say it's 10 friends, use the $500 a month to do some kind of, you know, improvements to like maybe one person's lives and take turns and slowly, you know, use that collective action to bring yourselves out of poverty, or work towards something like self-sustainability, you know, like, so if you have no ability to do any of that because you literally every single dollar you earn is going into things like food and rent, and you can't even put like $50 aside, and you have absolutely no time to offer any services or anything to a mutual aid network, then yes, maybe unionizing and trying to prepare for, maybe it'll be automation or whatever to make your job redundant and to be in a position to try and take the factory over in that eventuality, and maybe you can do that work kind of while on the job, then yes, maybe that's a good idea. But otherwise, I'd say, you know, that example I gave, that's way more like, you know, realistic. Like, so I don't know, maybe, you know, like if you got like I was saying, you've got that like group of people who can pitch in, you know, whatever they have at hand, and if you use the collective resources you have there to, you know, try and unlock certain ways of earning income. So maybe you've got someone in your community who wants to learn how to program, and so you can pull those resources together to get them a computer and they can like do some online courses and stuff, and like so they can like, you know, it may start making money through that, and then the next person wants to, you know, become like a chef or something, and you know, you've got to help them get like stove and like knives and pots and stuff, and then they can start cooking, and like then like the person you got the computer can make a website for the person who's cooking, and then you move to the third person and they want to be an artist, and so you can get them you know, like paint and paintbrushes and canvases, and so, you know, you go through your group and each person you like improving their lives, each person who wants to do something more with their time and can't, you know, even if it's like all of you have jobs, it's like maybe you can if you all have jobs, maybe you can all like work together to I don't know, like pitch into rent or buy a bigger property where everyone can stay there and cut down on a whole lot of costs that way, and then, you know, like use the excess resources that you would have had to spend on, you know, if you on, so it's like you all have had to pay electricity, you all have had to pay taxes, you all have had to pay, you know, property taxes, or like if you're renting, you'd all have to rent, you know, separately. So you save like a bunch of money by teaming out, and then you use the money you saved to improve your ability to make even more money, and then you use that, and then you can get like things like 3D printers and laser cutters and stuff. You can start having like, you know, like a bit of a maker thing, and you can start having someone who makes like jewelry and whatever, and have a website and have like Etsy, whatever, like, and basically the idea is that you by doing that, you eventually get to a point where you do own the means of production. Whether that's like, even like what I'm doing, trying to do, which is to work a job and then use the income of that to buy a house, and then, you know, once the house is paid off, which I guess takes like 20 years, but then you know, I'll have a means of production, because I can have like a YouTube studio, I can grow like my own food and stuff, like I can have other people staying here, and they can, so that gives them like free accommodation, and then they might be able to pitch in via whatever they're able to contribute to. Maybe all they can do is like help clean the house, or maybe they can't do anything because they have like, you know, difficulties or like mental illnesses or whatever, and they just need a place to recover, and then they'll be able to sort of find their feet and start like doing the things they can do to improve the world and be productive. And so my means of production is more centered around what I can do with this particular property, because, you know, like all those things I mentioned before are things that I could have going and have like a commune or whatever with people that I trust and I like and whatever, but, you know, like, and then sort of use our collective abilities and capacities to then improve that. So, you know, once we've sort of helped sort stuff out for ourselves, we can expand it and get a second property, like maybe get like a farm somewhere, and then those of us that like farming can go stay on the farm and grow food that we can then send to the city to distribute to those that stay here, like in the commune, and if there's surplus can be given to people in need. And so there's like, you know, so that's admittedly maybe like a 30-40 year plan, but, you know, it doesn't require luck, it doesn't require sort of the odds being like so heavily stacked and then everything just like happening like exactly the way you need it to, and then you finally get a means of production. And it's like, how many people have lived their entire lives and, you know, they've never seized the means of production in their lifetime, because of, you know, it's difficult and you can't really do it on your own unless you are very privileged, I guess. But yeah, like, I think when it comes to things like making really good like stock trades that, you know, like might gain you a ton of money and also cause a bunch of rich people to lose money because they were greedy, like, you know, and then you can use that money. So it's like, let's say I did have enough money to buy game stocks and I did make like a 10x, which is a gamble, this isn't financial advice, etc. But you know, it's like, so let's say you had $1,000, well, no, let's say it's $600, it turns into 6,000. It's like, okay, now you can, I don't know, what can you do for 6,000? I actually wanted to get some more pickaxes. So I need some more stone. But yeah, you know, like that could be the deposit you need, you know, to buy. And then you can, you know, because if you'd normally be renting, like, depending where you live, I guess, but usually like the mortgage repayments and the rental payments are not super different. It's just way harder to actually get the bond to qualify for it than it is to qualify for renting. So it's not like a case of being more expensive, apart from the deposit, it's not really more expensive to buy than to rent. But depending on obviously where you live and stuff. But like, find a place where it's not that expensive to buy, which is what I did. Unfortunately, you know, may not be the safest area in the world, judging by how many times I've been robbed. But, you know, like, you can try and not get robbed, I guess. But, you know, like, crime is everywhere, and you're never gonna be perfectly safe anyway. But, yeah, so, you know, a game stonk play may give you what you need to have a deposit on a property which you might take you 20 years to pay off, but it's a 20-year plan with the end goal is you have a means of production instead of constantly trying to like make it happen via some other method, and then it just doesn't materialize because it isn't really a material plan. And it's a lot easier to get people on board with something that you are doing already, and they're not mutually exclusive. Like, you might still be able to expropriate a factory and be working with a bunch of friends to improve each other's lives or buy a property together or whatever it is. So yeah, I think, you know, and the people who potentially may have made like a whole bunch more money, you know, where they actually have enough money to continue investing if they want to. They don't, you know, like, let's say they got a couple $100,000 whatever. It's like, then they might be able to continue trading in smart ways or like not, yeah, making it that they have the most chance of making more money I mean, because that's how, like, lots of hedge funds make lots of money all the time. That's why when you put your money into like a trust fund, it goes up because there's people making money on the stock market with it. And so you can make, you know, you need a lot of money. The more money you have, the less risky it is putting it into a particular gamble, I guess you could say. But let's say you're like a leftist and you make like a whole bunch of money on GameStop. Like, do you now immediately become a right-winger? Should you now forget about the struggle because you find yourself? Should you give away all your money and make sure you have no control over how it gets spent, maybe? Or you could use it as a means of production. And one of the things I've said a lot on my main channel is that it's, you know, how you use your means of production is far more important than who owns it. Because sure, it's bad for one person to own it, but if the workers like democratically own it, but they're still producing for exchange, they're still producing for a capitalist market, it's only very small amounts of difference, you know, who owns it. Like, their lives might be better, society might be a little healthier, but it's pretty much the exact same system. Whereas one person producing for free is already doing a lot more good in the world than that entire group of people equally democratically earning something that they are using to make profit with instead of mutual aid. So while getting the means of production is good and important, I think it's also important to remember that that's literally what unlocks real praxis. It isn't on its own real praxis. And like a lot of people say, and I blame Marx, who I really don't like, for this misunderstanding, but they think that socialism is when the workers own the means of production, and that's like the sloganization combined with the misunderstandingization of it, because it's workers owning the means of production that allows them to produce for the social needs instead of for profit. But if they have the means of production and they still produce for profit, it's not socialism. They may as well still, you may as well still have a capitalist owning the means of production for all the socialism that's happening, because there's still no production for social need. It's production for profit, which is capitalist inherently and fundamentally. So yeah, while it's important to get the means of production, it's how you use it that's way more important. But let's say you made a ton of money on game stocks, you at least have the option of using the means of production for social need, you know, that you didn't have the option before, and that can be considered seizing the means of production. And I think a lot of people think of it as like, well, what you do is you create a vanguardist party and you become a political force and you build the political capacity of your members to the point where you are able to take over the state, and then use your state power to give the workers the means of production, because then they won't need you anymore. Oh wait, maybe that's why it never happens. But that isn't how you seize the means of production. That's how people who want to seize the means of political power say you seize the means of production. And of course there's like the whole non-vanguardist revolution, but you the way you plan for that is by pretending it's not going to happen. You know, the way you plan for a popular uprising is to make the reason to have an uprising popular. And the reason to have an uprising isn't because uprisings are fun. You know, it's because you've got a solution to what's broken. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Well, so this room is like very much not cleared out yet. I'm wondering how much longer to keep going on this video, because like I thought maybe I could do one a little bit longer than normal, just because like I want to make some decent progress. Maybe like things move slowly when I don't spend too much time. Okay, I'm looking for logs because I need to make another chest. And put that down. Okay, so now I can put all this extra cobblestone in there. And I guess okay, I need iron. I need to put the iron back in there. Maybe I should like get some more iron going. Okay. It can go there. I'm not sure if I need the boat with me. Okay. I think what I want to do, I'll go for a little bit more. And just keep clearing. Just keep clearing. Like, I'm wondering if the portal might be too far that way. I do need a ton more obsidian, so if I do need to move it, although there's all this obsidian, but this may be coverable some other way. But yeah, I'm not fully convinced this is halfway down. Probably not. I'll probably have to move it. Oh. Okay, so let's make some more axes. Let's make 5. Okay. I think I want to clear out at least 3 block high all the way around the room. Then we'll be able to see for reals if, I mean, I guess I could count, but yeah, I will be able to see how bad the portal looks. So yeah, anyway, like, I do kind of want to sometimes talk about Vicky. I do want to sometimes talk about politics or philosophy or whatever while I'm doing this, just because it's fun and I have a lot to say, I guess, on it, and it can fill out the content, but sometimes I'm just focused on what I'm doing or nothing is coming to mind. think, although, yeah, so, I mean, it's like a pretty cool size room though, you know? I think. Gonna be able to have multiple biomes. I wonder if like every portal room place should be the same size. Because like, to some degree that would make sense. But like, in some worlds it may be like very sort of repetitive, and others is like tons of biomes and you can't even show all of them. Maybe I do like the being the same size, I think. Just gotta do the best with what's at hand. And if that means you don't show all the biomes, I guess it means you don't show all the biomes. So another problem to solve before we can go to custom dimensions is that I actually need a book and quill. And so a book is going to require paper and leather, and the quill, I think it's made from ink sacks, or the book and quill is like ink sac and a book or something. I don't know, I'll check the recipe up sometime, but definitely leather and ink sacks are two of the things, and I'm not entirely sure how to get them, because although squids and cows do spawn in Peaceful, I just don't want to kill them. I'm taking the Peaceful more seriously than that, you know? It's like, whenever I watch other people playing like YouTube and stuff, and hello, and they like, you know, they'll just like slaughter a whole bunch of cows or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's just a game. And it's like, but I mean, really, like, makes me wonder how desensitized we are as humans. Because like, I don't know, animals are awesome. Like, why would you want to kill them? It's like, what? Yeah, I mean, the fact that they drop loot, in some ways, you know, in some ways you can think it's realistic, but in other ways it's like quite anti-animal in a game setting. But yeah, I don't know. That's like every game, so I don't know. I just don't want to hurt animals. That's what I know. So we could go find like a lava pit and hope a cow walks too close to it and sets himself on fire, herself on fire. Or I don't, there might be leather in like some of the villagers, like chests or whatever. So we're gonna have to mission to find leather and ink sacks without necessarily. Excuse me. Someone wants to scratch their claws on the chair. Excuse me. Is that allowed behavior? Well, technically it is, but not when I'm recording. So yeah, I guess there's also like trading and stuff. But yeah, just so that's just like, you know, some more reasons why it's gonna take a while to get to the portal custom dimension part of this series. But you know, it's like I could just play the world, and then once things get interesting, be like, okay, now I'm ready. You know, that would be one option. But you know, I may as well record the playing part. Another option would be to play a whole bunch and record it and then edit it down to just the most exciting bits, which a lot of people do, but the problem with that is I don't have the time to do that kind of editing, and I need to use my computer for my job, and I can't be rendering hours-long videos which will take like a day to render and do like them daily and, you know, put my computer out of action. So, you know, I can't really do the edited thing. I could have shorter videos edited that only take a few hours to render, but then it's like, not only am I spending all the time playing, then I've got to spend all the time editing, and then in all likelihood nobody even watches it. And you know, that just is too much work. It just cannot be done, not sustainably. So this kind of is the only practical way of doing it, I think. I was going to use iron pickaxes and then I just made a whole bunch of stone ones. Oops. Anyway, going through those shortly. But yeah, even though it's going slow, that's why I wanted to sometimes talk about like other topics and philosophy and whatever, because at least then the people who do want to watch, you know, even though there's not that much happening in the world, the progress is very slow, and most of the time I'm just mining blocks. There's the music to chill to, there's my voice if you like the sound of my voice, and then there's the stuff I'm saying. So there's like all these different things that might make it an enjoyable experience for others. And I guess it's also a way for me to share my ideas, because I've shared them like on my main channel, but just sharing them without like a game in the background, I guess might not be interesting enough. Whereas if you have something to look at, listen to, chill vibes, maybe you will actually bother listening to half an hour rant on why, you know, markets are not socialist or whatever is the topic of the day. So yeah, portal does definitely seem to be too far to the side of the room. Like it's gonna have to be maybe here, and then that'll also help make it look a little smaller. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I think I'm probably like maybe halfway done excavating this room. So it's probably gonna take another like 2 episodes to finish just excavating this room. Then I'm gonna be going into the nether to collect the nether blocks I need to come back to decorate this room. So it's probably gonna be another like 4 or 5 episodes before this room is done. So I sincerely hope you like one of the other things happening: music, voice, topics, or the visuals. Because if you're here for progress, that's the one thing on short supply. Now, if this was a different game, if it was a game that allowed you to break things a lot quicker, well, I guess in creative you can break things a lot quicker. But then the downside to creative is you kind of have access to every block, so there's no like real adventuring and looking for, it's like, sure, like, I don't know, you could just spawn whatever block, you don't need to find it in a custom dimension, so why bother? Why bother doing this as creative? I guess it might still be fun to do it, but it like loses some of the charm, I'd say. But if you think it's a good idea, let me know if you do it in the comments, and I'll watch your videos and see if I made the wrong choice doing survival. But one of the things that's cool with survival is the fact that it is a bit harder, and so if you do accomplish something really epic, then it is a little bit more impressive. Whereas if someone knows it's creative, it's like, there's no doubt, no one's gonna think I faked, like did it in creative and then pretended it was survival, because you can literally see me doing all of it, because I'm not playing off cam, you know, like maybe now and then I'll like pause the recording to blow my nose and forget to unpause it, but that was like 5 minutes of time. But you know, for the most part, I'm not doing anything off cam. So it will be impressive if it ends up being epic, I think. And if it ends up being anywhere close to what I have in mind, I think it'll be epic. I mean, it'll be a lot more bigger, I think, than what most, even other mega project YouTubers will be close to them, I guess, in scale. But yeah, I think I will probably finish off with this in a bit. Let's see. Let's have one more song. So at the end of the song, I will finish today's episode. You can take us out the exit door, Harrison Ford, and it's night time, so I will be stopping at night because Harrison Ford arrived. And when Harrison Ford arrives, you stop what you're doing. Everybody knows that. Unless you are an interviewer, because if you stopped interviewing when Harrison Ford arrived as an interviewer, it could be kind of awkward because he'll just be sitting there and you won't be asking him any questions. But for most things, when Harrison Ford arrives, you stop what you're doing. Okay. Like, this is actually now potentially wider than it is deep, which may mean I can turn the portal back this way. Now, the benefit of doing that is that eventually this entire thing, you know, is going to be open. So I'm going to break through between. Let's do that now. Okay, I need some iron. And do I have any more wood? Y'all got any more wood? And okay. I'm looking at the map and it tells me this is gonna work. Yeah, okay. So, like I was saying, you will be able to see the portal. Because I'm gonna open all this up, because the overall portal is gonna be in this area here. Although the overall portal might want to be that way. So maybe if I move it back, it'll actually be fine. Anyway, I think that is going to be it for the most part. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Made a little bit of progress here. This room is a lot bigger than I originally thought I would make it, but I think it's going to be pretty cool when it's done. And eventually we will get on beyond it, but for now it's just excavation for the dead room. There's another 20 seconds of a song. Can't end like mid-song. So we get some loops. Okay, here we go. Ha. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. See you around. Bye.